now let's take a look at passing her inside foot cross hamstring, and for us, reverse De La Riva. Okay, so we're going to be in position. She steps in, and the second she steps in, once again, I want to put a wedge on top of the shoelaces and a sticky hand into my partner's ankle. So when she goes to rip out and pull away from here, it's not the easiest thing in the world. Okay, obviously, not going to hold someone for minutes at a time here, but you should feel that initial stickiness so you get gross overreactions when people really go to kick out and pull away from you. And she goes to pull out, she goes 1, 2, 3, and then she pulls out, and then we can come up and immediately start going into our follow-up attacks. And we want to have that initial stickiness to make people fear the grips, to make them fear you when you actually do get a hold of them. Okay, so from here she comes down to a split squat, and we have a reverse De La Riva hook with our shoelaces in, like so. Now, what we don't want to allow is for her to get her hand inside my hip. Okay, because now when she does, now she starts giving me some issues from here, and she starts to go into her passes. So immediately, we want to take our foot to our partner's hip like so. So as she goes to come in, she has a hand inside the hip, but she has no ability to drive forwards into me. Make sure that your foot doesn't drift too far in front of your partner's stomach, because now she can start going for the steamer locks and things like that. I just go in and we go right here on the top of the thigh, and we have our De La Riva hook in place. So now she goes to come down towards me. We can come in, and now we're ready to play with a cross shoulder post. So when she goes to knee slice through, it's very difficult. When she goes to get a cross face or an underhook, difficult. When she goes to take a collar tie on me even, it's very difficult from here. And now we're ready to start moving our partner around and going in. We can never allow our partner's knee to be down on the floor like this. This is unacceptable. She's going to pass from here. Okay? So we always make sure we put a wedge underneath our own knee. Go ahead. And we point our knee up towards the ceiling by bringing it into our chest, like so. So now when she goes to hit a hard knee slice, her knee can never come to the floor. The further our knee bows out towards the floor, the weaker our grip of the hand is, and the easier it is for her to slice through, and now she's going in. So we always take a strong grip right away. As she comes in, we go cross shoulder, we point the knee towards the ceiling, and bring the knee in towards our chest. And now when she goes to knee slice, it's just impossible. And now from here, we can start going into all of our attacks with follow-ups from there. Okay, so just a basic introduction to reverse De La Riva. So now we're going to start looking at reverse tripod sweeps. Okay, where my partner has yet to close distance on me, and she's standing up over the top and still relatively upright. All right, so just as the tripod sweep, most people will tell you post the foot on the hip, block the far leg, and knock your partner over. The issue with this is your partner is always going to lean the weight onto the near leg and backstep with the far leg. And now she's out. So the whole thing is to place a foot on the hip to block the far leg and to pull the near leg off the floor. So now as she goes to backstep, she's always going to fall down. Okay? So initially, we have to get our partner's butt to the floor. So we come through, we catch, we go in, and now we hit a reverse tripod sweep and we set our partner down to the floor. Now, once again, the question is, can I get on top of my partner? So immediately I'm going to take my leg and pommel my two legs to the outside. As she falls, I use momentum of my far leg, my outside leg, to come up to a pendulum. And now I post my elbow on the floor and knee on the ground. Because I have control of her ankle, as we both go to get up, I'll always win that battle. Okay, what I can't do is lose the ankle and then have her just scramble up and get away from me. If I keep control of that ankle, as I fall, so I just roll up and over my right shin here. So as we both go to get up, I always win that battle. And once again, she turns away from me, then she creates back exposure, and we can go in for the win. So what it'll look like is I come through, I knock my partner over. As she falls, we come up. We always keep some kind of control on the ankle. All right. So she comes in. We have some distance made between us. We go with the foot on the hip, and now we start pulling that foot up and off the ground. And we sit our partner down to the ground. Now, if I keep my leg in the middle and we both try to come up, it's going to be difficult. So immediately, I take this leg out, and I just pendulum up, and I start coming up with an Achilles grip. Where now, as we both go to get up, I have some form of control of the ankle. And it's very hard for her to start getting all the way up to her feet. So we come through. As she falls, we both got to get up. and we're up and we're ready to go. So now we're going to look at failing a tripod, a reverse tripod, where we get our partner's butt down to the floor, but we can't manage to get on top, or we feel like we're going to lose that battle. All right, so this time we sit our partner down. She falls down to the floor. Now I go to pommel up, and I feel like my partner is managing to come up faster than I am. Whenever I see this, we just catch our partner's, false confront our partner's knee here, and slide our knee under, like so. So now as she goes to get back on top of me, she goes to heist up, and we just throw our legs into position, and now we can go in and start to attack whatever we want from there. So we sit our partner down, we find ourselves in a position where we have 2 legs outside. As I go to get up, I feel like I'm losing that battle. So we slide our knee underneath, and then we point it towards the ceiling. What I don't want is for her to get up and bring her knee down to the floor between my legs, or even outside my hip is even worse, and then score top position and possibly chest to chest or a guard pass. So when I slide my knee underneath, I make sure I point my knee towards the ceiling. So now she goes to get up and slide her knee to the floor. I can always make space for my leg to come through and lock in to cross Hashiko around me. All right, so we're in position where she falls. We knock our partner over. Now as she goes to get up, we slide everything underneath. Now when she goes to get on top of me, that knee comes up. And now when I have 2 knees pointing towards the ceiling, when she goes to get on top now, it's incredibly difficult. Okay, so the key is we fall and we're here. The second we go to get up, we immediately invert that knee. Because if we're going to come up anyways, we have to have that shin on the floor to be able to come up and heist over that shin. If I feel like I'm losing that battle, I slide my knee in. Now, even if she comes on top of me, it doesn't make a difference. I have control over leg. And now from here, we can go in and start to play. All right, so now this time, like before, this time we can't even get our partner's butt to the ground. All right, so we start in a reverse tripod, from reverse Delahiva. And now, as we go to sit our partner down to the floor, she just immediately stumbles, but peels the foot off the hip. Whenever I see this, I immediately switch to reverse or to outside Delahiva, and immediately start getting my partner's hand down to the floor to start going into our attacks. Whether we're going to pommel a foot to the inside or take the foot outside and attack barambolos. So it'll look something like this. We start in, we go, she peels that foot off, and now we're ready to go inside like so. Or we go in, she peels that foot off, and now we make a switch. We put our hand to the ground, then we pommel a leg inside, and now we're ready to play attacks on my partner's legs or sweeping right from here without going into a full inversion. Okay, so we play. We'll talk about this a little bit later. We talk about moving from one to the other, reverse Delahiva to Delahiva, or Delahiva to reverse Delahiva. They have to be able to change from one to the other. And I'm going to show you guys an example of that in a minute. All right, so we go in, we attempt to sit our partner down. It fails. The second it fails, I immediately keep going in the opposite direction, and it leads her into all the rest of my attacks, whether they be full inversions or bringing legs inside. So, bringing legs inside. Where now from here, we can come through and start to go into all of our attacks. Okay? So we have to be able to switch from Delahiva to reverse Delahiva and reverse Delahiva to outside Delahiva. So now let's look at a single leg from reverse Delahiva. If you actually recall, Patrick Gaudio actually successfully hit this on me at Nogi Worlds. And it's a great move. When you come into a reverse Delahiva type situation, your partner comes through. And the reason why we have this foot on the hip is so we can create a pumping action with our legs, okay, forwards and backwards. So we come in, she comes down. What I don't want is just to be in a situation where I can only push or only pull my partner. If I just try to start inverting, she's always just going to drop that knee down, start moving away from me and posting on my face, doing all kinds of things. So I have to start to create this game where I play a pull-push, where I push and she has to push back into me to not pull, and now I can start to pull her and go into inversions or all kinds of follow-ups from here. Okay, so from this position, as I go to push, She goes to push back into me. I plant my foot on the floor, and I hit a bump out and over my right shoulder. And I get her hands to the floor. The second I see this, I immediately go elbow deep with my left arm, and I come up to a single leg on my right elbow. Now from here, I scissor my leg, and I start coming up. Now your partner has a choice. If she faces you, we shelf the leg, and as she goes to start climbing up to her feet, she either accepts bottom position or goes to start climbing up. You're on a single, and you can easily put your partner down. If on the other hand, hands down. If on the other hand, your partner sits to her butt, obviously, you have a sweep. If your partner goes to run away from you and just stay on her hands and knees, and we move up, we move to our partner's back. Now we can go into attacking turtle right from there. Okay? There's a ton of good options off of that pull-push dynamic. We create the initial kazushis. Coming in, we have a foot on the hip, cross shoulder. We pull, push, and then as we push, she goes to start pushing back into me. I post and I lift right shoulder. The second I put her hands to the floor, I immediately pendulum up and grab above the knee. If I grab below the knee, she's gone. So I always go above the knee. Now, as she goes to move away from me, we come up to the knees. We go elbow deep with the right hand. Now, as she goes to pull herself away, we go up to the waist. And now we're ready to come in and start attacking and breaking our partner down from turtle position. Okay? So we come into a reverse Vol6 situation. We start pumping. She goes to run. And now we can attack our partner's back right from there. Okay, so moving to a single leg from reverse Vol6. So now let's look at using this pull push reaction to enter into an ashigurami on our partner's legs. Okay, either the near side or the far side. All right. So she comes in. She's in a reverse Vol6, and now she's split squat. We're gonna look to start pulling and pushing, pumping back and forth. All right. From this situation, as I take my partner's hands to the floor, so I push. As I bump my partner forward once again with this left foot, I get her hands going to the floor. From this position, we have two choices. All right. Number one is, three choices. Number one is we take our foot back to the inside. If you're not flexible, this might be a little bit of an issue. All right. This requires some amount of flexibility. Normally, as your partner is moving back into place, is when you pommel your legs to the inside. Okay. You don't do it when she's all the way up here. Okay. If you're flexible, you can. So as she moves back to the inside, I pommel my leg back inside like so, and now I scoop my partner's far leg. So I can start guiding my partner with this direction hand out and over, and entering into an X guard on my partner's far leg and going in for attacks. Okay? That's the first one. We come through. We get this pull-push reaction. As my partner goes to push back into me, we bump her forwards. And now, as she goes to move back and away, we pommel this leg to the inside. We can also, for scooping this far leg, we can also make space for this left leg by taking our right knee across first, like so. And now making space for that leg to insert. All right, so there's two ways of doing it. One is we can go foot first, where we bump her forward. As she comes back, I pummel a leg in, and now we're through. Or, if there's not enough space, I bump her forward. As she goes to come back, I go knee first, foot second. And now we're in, ready to go. Okay? Additionally, this time I bump her forward. As she comes forward, this time I'm going to take my hand through and I'm going to take a scoop on the near leg. So that from this position, I can immediately go to a full inversion by shooting my right leg through, inverting, so we're perpendicular, and then throwing my legs into place. And now from here, we can sit our partner down to the floor with a beautiful cross ashigurami entrance for the win. Okay? So one is entering X guard. If you're a little bit less flexible and athletic, you can either go 1 by pummeling a leg inside and go in, 2 by using a knee first and going in, or 3 bumper forwards, and now from here you go into a full inversion and throw the legs inside. What this will look like, a little bit faster paced with the last one. When she comes in, I get this pull push reaction, and we're in. Now as soon as we scoop, we throw the leg and we catch. We catch. We bump. Now we use the concave shoulders to pull ourselves perpendicular, and we catch. More. Now we're in. And now wherever she chooses to go, we have an entrance into the legs. Whether it's cross ashi, whether it's 50-50, doesn't make a difference. Or at least in and our partner's legs, we can start to do some kind of offense from here. Okay? We have X-guard entrances, cross ashi entrances, and 50-50 entrances right from there. So now we're going to look at going into a full inversion from reverse de la Riva. All right, so again, I know inversions aren't things that a lot of you guys will be doing, but they're important to include because some people will be doing them. All right, so I wanted to give all the options to the older, non-athletic, non-flexible people like myself. Well, I'm kind of flexible, but not really that athletic. All right, but nonetheless, we should know how to at least do these and teach these in case someone asks you about them. So we come in and we have reverse de la Riva. This time, we're looking to go into full inversions. We usually take that same kind of scoop underneath my partner's ankle, so just stand up. So we come between, again, my partner's ankle and my buttocks, and we just catch. We can even grab our own shin if we want to, just as we did from outside de la Riva. So she comes down through, and again, we can't just start by trying to invert, okay? We have to get our head underneath our partner's hips. And if we just do that, she can start posting on my face, she can start backing away, she can start doing all kinds of things. So we start this pull-push action where we pump our knees to and from our chest to get our partner off-balanced. And then when we're ready to go, we use this direction hand to start pulling our knees to our chest and taking our head down towards our partner's hips. Like so. Now you have a variety of options from here. We can go to a crab ride position and go for attacks from there like we talked about before. Come back. We can go to, again, you see everything come full circle now. We can go to Oshiro X guard, as I talked about before, and go into attacks from there. Whether we go with all of our sweeps, entrances, however you want to play from there. There's a variety of things that you can do from here. The main thing is just getting that initial inversion underneath our partner. So we go foot to the hip, cross shoulder, and we go a scoop inside between myself and my partner's ankle. Now we start pulling and pushing. When I feel she pushes back into me, we use that direction hand to clear any kind of crossface or collar tie and get our head underneath our partner's hips. Those concave shoulders make it so easy now for us to invert and spin behind my partner. And now your leg positioning is going to determine what you attack. If we take 2 shins inside of our partner's legs, we go shin to hamstring, we go to a crab riding position. If we go knee inside, then we go to reverse Oshiro X, and we can start going into all of the attacks right from there. Right, but the main thing again is just that initial inversion underneath our partner. So we come in, we pull, push. Now, as she pushes back into me, we go into a full inversion, and now we're ready to go into all of our attacks right from there. Okay, so many good things that come off the inversion if you're willing and able to give it a shot. So we're gonna look at now a two-on-one wrist to a knee lever. Okay, now we kind of drop down into half guard, but it starts from a reverse De La Riva. Now, if you look at my match with Leandro Lowe, I completely shut down his guard passing. Obviously, I wasn't able to make much happen there because I was terrible back then. But I shut down his guard passing with a two-on-one wrist from a split squat. Okay, two-on-one wrist is very valuable from reverse De La Riva because it completely negates your opponent's ability to knee slide quickly past your guard. Okay, so what this does is when you look at a basic knee slide from reverse De La Riva, your partner has to knee slide and end up with one of her arms on one side of my body and the other one on the other side of the body. So even if she just hits a quick knee slice, she always has to pin me somehow with this arm. So what I started to do, I started to take a foot to the hip and a two-on-one like so. So now as he would go to knee slice through, just guide the arm on by and re-guard nice and easily. Okay? So even if she comes in, she comes through, she can hit the most explosive knee slice she wants. As long as I have a two-on-one, relax there, cowboy. I get a two-on-one, now she goes to get an explosive knee slice, and we can easily bring the legs back inside. Okay, so now we're gonna start looking to go into a knee lever off this two-on-one. So the foot positioning is going to be, this time, she comes in, we take a two-on-one, and we're looking to get our shoelaces underneath our partner's shoelaces. You see, it's kind of hard for me to fish right from this position. So what I recommend doing is posting a hand on the knee. So I usually go cross shoulder, hand in the knee, and I scoot out and away. As I scoot out and away, I block my partner's knee and just move out and away. Now I bring my heel to my butt and I wait for her to follow me. As she goes to reclaim that space, now I have a shin on shin, just posture. I have my shin connected to her shin, and I have a reverse De La Riva hook in place. Now I make my two-on-one. Now I can either use a two-on-one wrist or a two-on-one elbow. Both work really well. I start pulling my partner towards me, like so, and I extend my legs to get my partner's knee down to the floor. The second my partner's knee hits the floor, I'm immediately going to scoot in so that my partner falls chest to chest on me, and my two knees point up towards the ceiling. So I pull myself in, and now we're in position. Where now, I have my right foot outside the knee, precisely outside the knee, and I have my left foot on top. I don't want to be anywhere not outside the knee. If I'm not outside the knee, she can open up her knee and post her knee out on the floor for base. So I post outside the knee and foot over foot. So when she goes to bring that knee out for base, it's impossible. Now, the prerequisite to any knee lever is that I have my knees pointing at least up to the ceiling, preferably in the direction that I'm trying to sweep. If my knees are angled out towards her, they're going to be able to take her over. So I just angle my knees out like so by raising my hips ever so slightly. Now, I'm just going to look to point my knees in the same direction I'm trying to sweep her. I don't give a big bridge or any of that. I just lever my knees out in this direction. When she goes to post with that hand, when she goes to post with her knee, it's impossible. Now we just take our partner over. We punch an underhook in as we're coming up and over. And now we're ready to pass our partner from a top half guard. Okay? So we come through and we hit a knee lever from a reverse De La Riva. So she comes in. I post, cross shoulder, I post to the knee. Now I scoot away. As I scoot away, she's going to have to reclaim that space. So as I move, she goes to come in, and now I'm shin to shin. Now I take a two-on-one. If she has a hand inside my hip and she's very strong, I feel like I can't peel the hand off my hip, I always come through and I punch her hand out first towards the camera. Now when she goes to reclaim, now we go two-on-one. If I just try to take a two-on-one and I'm just randomly trying to rip it in, I expose an underhook and she shoots in, and now I'm getting passed. So I keep a tight elbow first with my top elbow. When she goes to punch that underhook in, it's impossible. And I can easily take the hand off. As she goes to reclaim that hand positioning, I just feed it back across, and now we're with a two-on-one elbow or two-on-one wrist. Now I pull everything towards me at the upper body, and I shoot my legs away to put her knee on the floor. The second that happens, I immediately come through, and I'm in. Now we're chest to chest. Now I go inside foot, outside the knee, free left foot, foot over foot. And now from here, as I go to hit the knee lever, my two knees are initially pointing in the same direction as the sweep. I go to knee lever, she goes to post, and we can easily switch to an underhook and end up in top position. Okay, so one time from this angle, she goes in, we go cross shoulder and knee. Now we scoot away. As she goes to follow, I get shin to shin. Now I have a hard time peeling this off because she has good hand placement inside my hip. So if I just try to pull this way, you're pulling against the 4 fingers into the grip. If I keep a tight top elbow, and as she goes to make a strong grip, you can easily peel the hand off outside the hip. Now when she goes to reset it, we switch to a 2-on-1. Now I pull the upper body towards me so my knees come to my chest, almost like I'm doing a forward shift. Then I put her knees in the floor. Now I go outside the knee, foot over foot. I raise my hips so she comes chest to chest, and my 2 knees point in the direction of the sweep. And now as I go to hit the knee lever, I relinquish the 2-on-1 when she's almost over, and I switch to an underhook. And now from here, we're up on top and ready to go into business. So now we're going to talk about the interface between De La Riva and reverse De La Riva. All right, now, whenever you're playing one and you have a grip on an ankle, you can always switch to the opposite. If you're playing De La Riva, you can switch to reverse De La Riva. If you're playing reverse De La Riva, you can always switch to a De La Riva. Right? So we're just going to take a look. It's not really a skill. It's just to show you, to get you mentally prepared to be switching as your opponent gives you certain reactions. Okay, so she's going to be standing in front of me. And as she goes to pass my guard, go ahead, just play a little sporadically. Okay, so you notice how I'm always going from one hip to the other hip. It's never just reverse De La Riva, reverse De La Riva, reverse De La Riva, or outside De La Riva, outside De La Riva, outside De La Riva. It's one and the other. You have to be able to play both in succession with each other and chain their attacks together in order to be successful. Okay, so always keep that in mind. All right, so we have quite a bit of footage here from just Supine. So we have about 4 hours just of strictly instruction. And then we're probably going to do another hour and a half or so to 2 hours of breakdown of commentary. So you got about 6 hours here, and then about another 6 to 8 with the seated guard. So it was definitely my belief that it's going to be way too long to do a 15-hour video for you guys, just because of the fact that I know people want to see a lot of things. Like in the guard passing one, most people want to see the float pass. So they went to the float pass and they missed all the things. In a 10-hour video, they went right to the float pass and they missed all the important instructions that I taught in the beginning of the video. That's not what I want to happen here. So what I want is for you guys to understand how to utilize these different kinds of ashigaramis by the time you start playing a seated butterfly guard against your training partners and opponents. That way, when you go to enter into these leg variations, you know what you're doing. What I don't want is for you to fast forward in a 20-hour video, and the next thing you know, you're looking at these elevations from butterfly guard into ashigarami, and they're like, oh yeah, well, you can just do all the variations I taught before, because then you're not going to know what was going on. So hopefully that makes sense. So I decided to split into 2 different instructionals. One Supine, where we're on our backs, and we have all these De La Riva, reverse De La Riva, ashigarami, and X guard variations. All right, and then next will be seated guard, where it's seated versus standing, and seated versus kneeling. So seated. I'll be seated, and my opponent will be standing either in a square stance or a staggered stance, and I'll have an opponent kneeling in front of me with 2 knees down and then 1 knee up. Okay, so we covered 2 parts, supine and seated, and 4 different scenarios that we could find ourselves in: seated versus standing, staggered and square, and seated versus kneeling, 1 knee down, 1 knee up. All right. I know it's a lot of information. I threw some inversions in there for you guys who like to do inversions. This was, again, the hardest video I ever had to instruct. I realized it was going to be way too long in the beginning, and we actually went back and like almost reshot the whole thing. I had like almost 7 hours of footage, and we basically just reshot the entire instructional. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thank you again to Sunny here for enduring these last. I mean, this is probably took close to a week to film this with everything, and we still have to do the other seated versus standing one. And of course, BJ Fanatics family for always making this as painless as possible, and for our cameraman for making it as painless as possible. So thank you guys.